So there is no questioning at all that Marvel is dead, that the MCU is killed by Kevin Feige and by Disney, and it might not just be Marvel, it might be comic book movies as a whole. We just saw Suicide Squad flop, we just saw Black Widow flop. They're not both Marvel, they're not both MCU. Obviously the Suicide Squad is DCEU, it's not Marvel, so it might be a comic book movie failure overall, and the comic book movie genre might be dead. But all I know is for sure that the MCU is dying, that the MCU will be dead in a few years, if not sooner. Let's check it out. If you enjoy news like this, if you enjoy Marvel news, Star Wars news, just pop culture news in general, then please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I post multiple times a day on this channel. Let's get into the video. So I've been a Marvel fan, I've been an MCU fan for a very long time, as well as a Star Wars fan and kind of a DC fan a little bit. I don't enjoy DC movies as much as I enjoy Marvel movies, but I will admit that the Joker movie that just came out maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago, something like that, I really did enjoy that, and I enjoy DC movies like that. Obviously, I enjoy the old Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, stuff like that I will enjoy, but the DCEU movies recently, I haven't enjoyed too much. But either way, the Marvel movies are the ones that are in big trouble. The MCU movies, or I should say the MCU movies, they're in big trouble, and it's not just because of the woke narratives that are being pushed in it. It's not just because of the race swaps and gender swaps and stuff like that. And while that does play a part in it, it's not the entire problem. And that's a big problem, for sure. That's 100% a big problem. But we also have movies like Shang-Chi coming out very soon, and apparently it's getting an experimental 45-day theatrical release. I don't really know how a 45-day theatrical release, it's not really that experimental. I believe that the normal run for movies like Shang-Chi would have been 90 days in theatrical releases. But 45-day theatrical release isn't really that experimental. I mean, it's just what they used to do. You know, it's what they used to do before all this stuff in 2020 and 2021 happened. But it was just 90 days instead of 45 days, I believe. It was around 90 days. Sometimes earlier, sometimes sooner, it would get, you know, pushed out of theaters. But the 45-day release thing is probably better than the day and date release for Disney Plus or for HBO Max or whatever. But this movie is no question going to flop still. There's no question about it. The movie is going to flop, and it's not just this one. It's going to be the Marvels, it's going to be Shang-Chi, it's most likely going to be Spider-Man in comparison to what it would be a couple years ago, in comparison to what it was for Spider-Man Homecoming, for Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, maybe if they do some crazy stuff and bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man movie might not flop. But Shang-Chi, the Eternals, the Marvels, those are all going to be flops without question. And like I said, the woke narrative, the woke agenda that they're pushing in these movies are definitely playing a part in it, but it's not the only problem. Obviously, the pandemic, everything that's going on in the world right now, that's also going to play a part in it. That's also a problem. That's also why they're not going to make as much, but that's still not even the biggest problem. Shang-Chi, it just doesn't have that much interest. The character just doesn't have that much interest pulling from the comics. It just doesn't. You know, people are used to in the MCU watching movies about Spider-Man and Iron Man and Captain America, these household names. Shang-Chi is just not that. And I was watching a Yellow Flash video, and I'm not the biggest Marvel Comics fan. I've read a few comics here and there, but I was never a big fan. I never knew that much about obscure characters like Shang-Chi. He's an obscure character. And I was watching a Yellow Flash video, and he's a diehard comic fan, and he didn't even know who Shang-Chi was before they announced that he was coming to the MCU, and he did a little bit of research on him. So Shang-Chi, for the average audience, which the MCU really thrives off of those casual viewers, that's why the MCU was more powerful than Star Wars the last few years, because the casual viewers can get into Marvel a lot easier than they can get into Star Wars. So the MCU has thrived off of those casual viewers who are definitely going to have absolutely no idea who Shang-Chi is. They're probably not going to care about the Eternals too much because, let's be real, the cast for the Eternals isn't looking that great. So there's not any movie stars like Robert Downey Jr. or Benedict Cumberbatch or Chris Evans or Chris Pratt or Chris Hemsworth. Like, we've had a superstar cast in the MCU for so long, and now we're just not. You know, we're just not getting these household names, these big movie stars that will say, I'm not too interested in the Eternals, but, you know, this actor, Chris Pratt's in it, so I'll go see it. There's not that happening. It's not like Guardians, where it's like, I don't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy, but Chris Pratt's in it, so I'll go see it. But Dave Bautista's in it, so I'll go see it. You know, that's not going to happen for the Eternals. Like, the cast just isn't that good. And then also, the Eternals is kind of in the same situation as Guardians, where it's just not that well known. The interest isn't that high for it. going into the movie. That's going to also be a flop. And then the Marvels, we all know that it was going to be Captain Marvel 2 before it was called the Marvels, but no one wants to see a Captain Marvel 2, so they have to change the name. They have to rebrand it so that people will actually go out to see. We all know that the only reason why Captain Marvel 1 made $1 billion is because it was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame, and they had that post-credit scene that teased Captain Marvel, so everyone felt like they had to go see Captain Marvel to understand Endgame. That's the only reason why people even went out to see the movie. We all know that to be true, and we all know that if they were to call this Captain Marvel 2, then no one would go see that movie because no one cares about the character. It's just a bad character. It's kind of like Rey, if I'm being honest with you. It's kind of like Rey in Star Wars. She's just too good at everything. She has no flaws, all of that stuff. It's hard to make a good movie about someone who has no flaws, who is extremely overpowered. It's just very hard to make a good movie about them. So no one would have seen that movie. That's 3 movies that are coming up pretty soon that I would say are going to be complete flops. Like I said, the only one who could be the MCU saving grace is Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie. And then after that, I think that maybe Thor 4, maybe the next Guardians movie could do pretty well, but not like they used to do. Not like the old MCU powerhouse movies. It's just not going to happen anymore. That's not going to be the way the MCU is anymore. I don't think any of these movies make $1 billion. Not even Thor 4, not even the next Guardians movie. I don't think a movie in the MCU will make $1 billion until maybe 5 years down the line, if the MCU isn't dead, if they don't completely end the MCU by that time, because these movies are going to lose money. Black Widow already lost money. Shang-Chi is going to lose money. The Eternals, the Marvels, they're all going to lose money, and there's no question. You cannot convince me otherwise. These movies are going to lose money. There is no question about it, especially because they've been pushed back so many times, especially Shang-Chi has been pushed back so many times. They're going to lose money, and there's no question about it. The only way that they don't end the MCU is if Thor 4, Guardians, and Spider-Man do really, really good. And if they can survive until stuff happens like the Fantastic Four comes into the universe, the X-Men come into the universe, that's the only way that the MCU can stay alive. Because I think whenever that stuff happens, I think when Fantastic Four and the X-Men start to join together with the MCU, that could really revive the MCU and make it more, they could add more household names in there, like Wolverine, all the Fantastic Four characters, everyone knows them already. So we can be adding high interest characters already to the MCU. And then the MCU, I'll give it some credit. It has been very good at turning these household names from comics, from source material, into very likable characters in the MCU that people do enjoy, like Iron Man, like Captain America. I wouldn't say that everyone knew Captain America and Iron Man before they came into the MCU, because comics aren't really that mainstream, but everyone in the comics knew about them, and as soon as they came into the MCU, they became household names because they made them very likable. So if they can do that for Fantastic Four and X-Men, then they could have something there. But also, let's check out the Shang-Chi box office predictions on Reddit. I know that obviously Reddit isn't, the best place to go for information, but here is where most people think that Shang-Chi will land, in the 500 to 700 million range, and I definitely think it's going to be in the 300 to 500 million range, simply because I think that it's going to be more towards 500 million, simply because they're doing the 45-day box office release or 45-day theater release. So I think it will make a little bit more at the box office than, say, Black Widow, which it's not even going to make 400 million, I don't think. So I think that this movie, that Shang-Chi, could make around 500 million, probably around 450 to 475 million, I would say, just because it's going to be released in theaters for 45 days. And this poll was taken before they said, it was 2 months ago. So it was before they said it was going to be released in theaters for 45 days. LOL, you guys never learn. Keep underestimating the MCU. Yeah, we never learn, man, right? Black Widow gets early digital release amid disastrous box office. We never learn. Keep underestimating the MCU, right? People are idiots, man. They don't understand that this can't last forever. The MCU can't be a powerhouse forever, and it's over now. It's just over, and it hurts me to say, but they have ruined the MCU. They have ran it into the ground. Force of Light came into my chat the other day and said that Marvel is where Star Wars was back in 2017, and that is very true. That is very true. Marvel is pretty much where Star Wars was in 2017. I think Star Wars is on an uptrend, and Marvel is 100% on a downtrend, and it's going down very fast. But let me know what you guys think about the whole situation. What do you think about the MCU dying, and also maybe even the comic book genre just dying as a whole, because the Suicide Squad did flop pretty bad as well. But let me know what you think Shang-Chi will do at the box office, as well as all of the other future Marvel movies that are coming up pretty soon. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description. I will be doing a charity stream tonight for St. Jude at 8:30 Central Time, so if you ever wanted to leave a donation, if you ever wanted to leave a super chat or whatever, come give it to us tonight, because it will all be going to St. Jude. I really appreciate it if you do stop by the stream. Thank you for watching the video. I hope to see you on the next one.